Okay, I didn't expect that to happen. That was BitChute. Sorry, I'm live streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. Was there BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, and obviously YouTube. All right, sorry about that. That was like a little bit. I didn't expect that. Okay, so let's go to the intro. All right, so again, we're gonna build PHP chats, bar graphs, using obviously PHP, MariaDB, and JavaScript with Fetch API to draw on the canvas. A continuation from the previous one we did literally just yesterday. All right, before we begin, again, I want to implore everybody to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments. I'd like to thank everybody subscribed so far this month. Keep it up. As I said before, this type of tutorials actually are inspired by viewers just like you. So if you guys want me to do this type of tutorials, continue this type of tutorials, let me know. That's what happens. I said like for the rest of this month, everything has actually been requested by viewers. So that's why I'm doing it right now. So I do honor requests, and it also helps you guys learn one another. The more people there are, the more people that can share or post requests, and everybody learns. Everything I learn, I'll share with you guys. All right, let's go get started here. So this is going to be a beginner guide to PHP, MariaDB, and plotting. Plotting you guys should be familiar. If you're not, you can watch yesterday's tutorial where we did the 3D plotting. Yesterday's was very static, meaning that you couldn't change anything. So in today's tutorial, you'll be able to, obviously, you can still use yesterday's tutorial if that's how you want to plot, but in today's tutorial, as the plotting is going to be simpler because we're focusing on dynamically saving the content, pulling the content, deleting it, and updating it. So that's the focus of today's tutorial. But you can follow along yesterday's tutorial. Everything should make perfect sense. Okay, so yeah, I've already explained this. I'm going to show you how to create a MariaDB table as well, a database table. So to follow along, obviously you're going to need PHP. You're going to need a database. You can use MySQL. You can follow along. You can use any database you want. I believe everything I'm doing here is simple enough that you should be able to, at least any database that PHP supports natively. Well, I think they support 12 to 13 natively, so you can use any of them. I said the SQL I'm using is, most of it is standard, so you should be able to follow along any database you want. The SQLite, SQL Server, Oracle, etc. You should be able to follow along. And obviously you're going to need a web browser because that's how we're going to preview it. You're also going to need an HTTP server, but if you're running PHP like I am, we're going to use the PHP's built-in development server, so that's perfectly fine. It's not for production, but for development or testing, it works perfectly fine. And then you can use any text editor you want. I recommend a programming text editor. I'm going to use the GNOME text editor. You can use any. I have reviewed so many text editors on my channel, even just this year. I've reviewed so many. I even lost count. There's so many. If you need a text editor, just simply go to jumbo.com here, go to the search menu here, and you just type in text editor or advanced text editor. So many of them will come up. Very recently, I review one once a week, so you can pick any of them. I recommend a small one such as Guinea, if you want to do one of the command line ones. I think for the last 2 weeks in a row, I've actually done some command line ones. So I've done Vim, Emacs, Helix, Micro, so many. I mean, there are multiple of them. You can pick any one you want. All right. Yeah. So if you're impatient and you just want to look at the code, I'll show you here how we create a MariaDB database. I have the SQL for that. You can just expand here and copy paste it if you want. And then the PHP for the basic one, it's right here. And then how to fetch the data, how to insert the data, split them up, update script and delete script. So this is more of if you're trying to make maybe like some type of API to make things simpler, you can break it down. This is how you could do it. You could use one script as well. I've done that in the past, but I wanted to break this down because I want to make it very easy for you guys to follow along, so that's what I did. So meaning that maybe you're only interested in the fetching the data, we can just grab the fetching data one. That's it. So that's up for you. And then obviously drawing the data, we need to pull in obviously the stuff, and obviously we're going to need HTML, very simple HTML. I'll explain all that as well. And then the canvas actually to draw it there. And I'm going to use PHP MariaDB here just to show you graphically how things look like. I can do it on the command line as well, but when I was learning, it was nice to use some type of UI, even if it was a web-based UI, which I still use this today when I have to teach people about databases. It's pretty easy for them to follow along because you can just click, and then I always try to encourage them to use, see the SQL here, just paste your SQL there, and you can do searches. People actually don't use this one, but yeah, you can do that one. And then this is what our application looks like. Very basic. You can see there's just you can add or update using this one, and then when you add the first one, you see down here, then you can edit or delete. And I've shown you guys how when you have a delete, you should have some type of a prompt saying, "Are you sure you want to delete?" or something like that. But I said this tutorial is it's more basic. So yeah, so that if I don't have time, I might not actually. If I have time, I'll add it there. And then again, you can edit as you can see here. And then once you have enough, you need one. But I did 3 here, and as you can see in this live stream. So if I click here, I don't have time. There you go. So just repeat what I've just said. That's the live stream. So I'm gonna go down here, right here. I'll stop here, and yeah, we'll come back to this a little bit later. Let's get on to the tutorial. So I've already started the MariaDB server and the HTTP because I need that for PHP MariaDB. Now you can also run this inside containers. You guys see I always do like container, at least one container podman every single week. Actually, for you guys who don't like using the command line, I actually very recently I did a Cockpit, so you can check out Cockpit. It's a GUI where it's a web UI where you can control your server, but more importantly the container. So that way you don't have to go to the command line. You just click, add some stuff, and it's actually pretty easy. I should have used that earlier myself when I was learning some of the environmental variables and all that. Yeah, I know them now, so I'm not sure I would use Cockpit, but I recommend Cockpit. Maybe I'll do another tutorial in the future using using something like Cockpit, or I think there's something like Podman Desktop. Maybe we'll review those in the future. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to see if all the live streams are still going well. Okay, all right, I'm gonna give up on that one. Let's see what's going on with Odyssey here. Play. Okay, Odyssey is fine and YouTube is fine. Hey, I got a Abraham 260 or okay, says what about XAMPP? Yeah, you can use XAMPP as well. Yeah, XAMPP is actually cross-platform. It works on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. You can use XAMPP, or you can use the specific one for your operating system, like there's WAMP. Obviously LAMP is Linux, and then there's also MAMP for Windows. But as I said, if you don't want to install something on your systems, what I'm trying to say is, I say you can put everything inside a container. That way, the container allows you to. These days, it's PHP and MariaDB. You can, or MySQL. You can use different versions, so it's not a big deal. It's not like in the past. In the past, you could only have one at a time, but these days, yeah, you don't need to. The good thing about using something like, say, container is that you can send somebody your compose or your YAML file or the command you use, and then they'll be able to replicate that specifically as well. The thing is, if you install XAMPP, you might update it, and maybe somebody has another version or something is missing. So that's one of the reasons containers are actually pretty good. Yeah. So for example, another example is if you have a very old application, it might be using, believe it or not, I still get requests to this very day to update applications that are running PHP 4. And I'm not joking, PHP 4 in 2025. Yes, I still get a request to update those type of applications, which just blows me away that on the websites I'm using PHP 4. So those are the type of things that would be perfect for containers. Anyways, back to this. I'm just gonna grab I'm gonna use a Chromium browser here. You can use any browser you want, it doesn't matter. So let's go to PHP MariaDB here. I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna use the usual login we always use, which is the GAI, that stands for generative AI. I created a database specific for that, but it's perfect for testing. So I'll log in. And when you log in here, there's one database, it's the guy one, and you see here I have stats. You guys might remember this, we did this one before, so I don't need this one, so I'm just going to delete this one. All I do is click on the database and then just drop it. We don't need it. So we've dropped it. As I said before, you see there's a structure here. If you want to create your own, you see you can create a new table. You can do it manually, and then you can add the how many columns, and you name them as well. And I prefer, if somebody gives you the code, that's what I've given you guys the code. I go to SQL and I just dump it here and I click go, and then it will, obviously if you have a different delimiter, I just use the default delimiter and I just paste it here and I click go, and then it will create the stuff for me. So obviously search is not going to work right now because there's no table yet, and you can't do a query on nothing. There's nothing to export, there's nothing to import. I mean, you can do an import as well. You could also import. If you go to import, I can pick the file here. That's an option you can do as well. But we're just going to use SQL here. So, so the SQL for this is very simple. I'm going to show it to you guys here now. I think you guys should be able to see this. Yeah, you should be able to see this. So it's create table. The table is called stats. And then I have parentheses, and you see the semicolon here. That's the donates, or it's a delimiter. That means that that's the end of that statement I want to run. It's going to have these columns. The column ID, it's an integer. It's going to auto increment, and then it's a primary key. And then I have another column. It's called category. I use varchar. Sometimes I'm very lazy and I just use text. But varchar, it's 255. Because it's not going to be, it's not going to be too much. I'll explain to you why. This is a good example of where to use varchar instead of text. Is because these categories are not going to be very long, so it doesn't make sense to use text, because text is the length is 65532. So there's no way a category is going to be that many. That needs to be that length. So that's why I use varchar here, and not now. Not now just means that you don't want it to be empty. It's basically almost mandatory. And then there's a value. The value will be an integer, and it's also not now. Okay. So be careful when you do things like this with not now, because if the database is running in strict mode, it's going to enforce this. Meaning that sometimes if you try to do it without passing a value, it's going to be it's going to complain. So be careful when you do this. But in this particular case, I know I always have something for the category and for the value, so I can use not now. Now for the first one here, you see the auto increment. You can pass in a value here, but it's not recommended to do that, because it's going to auto increment, meaning that depending on what the incrementing value is, in this case it's 1. So for example, the first one will be 1, the second one will be 2, so it will auto increment by itself. But for example, if I put ID 10, then the next time this runs, the next value is not going to be, say, 3 or 4, it's actually going to be 11. So that's it. So then all I do is just click go, and you see it has created, there's no errors here. So now if I go to structure, you see it has created, so let me click the table. I go to structure, you see here, it has created it. It is the ID, it's an integer type, and you see it's auto incrementing, and you see this icon, this means it's a primary key. And the second one is a category, it's a varchar, the length was 255. By the way, int by default is 11, the length. And you see now it says no, not now, of course, and then the value is also an int, and that's no. So that's it. I said you can create it manually. See here, you can add another column if you wish, but that's perfectly fine right there. So that's it for this part now. Now let's take a look at the code. Let's open this guy up. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna copy all this. So I'm going to drop them into the text editor. Oops. Why do I always do that? Okay, I opened the wrong one. This is okay. This is the document, the text editor. Okay, so let's go to. We have a SQL here. Oh, I didn't put the SQL. Okay, let's go to the index file first, and I'll explain to you what's happening here. We have the doc type, HTML, the head section. You notice I took away that language. All that stuff is not needed. And this is just a viewport. Set the device width to initial height. This is most likely for small phones, for small devices like a phone, so that it doesn't take the view from the desktop version. It will zoom in so that basically the view that you want people to see instead of seeing. Otherwise, it will be very, very tiny, very hard to see on a mobile device. And the title is just PHP MariaDB CRUD canvas plot. I'm not going to talk about the styling here because it's subjective. You style it any way you want. So I'm going to skip that part. It's just simple styling, CSS for the table and the canvas. Basically, I just put a border around them and just give it a little lightish gray color. And the input and the button, they have a padding of 8 pixels and margin of 5 pixels. So as you can see, it's mostly there's nothing special about here at all. Okay, so then in the body section we have an H2 tag just says PHP MariaDB CRUD with canvas graph, and then we have a div. That div is, we have an H3 tag. It says add or update record. We have an input, which is a hidden one. The type is hidden. The reason for this is so that this will allow us to repurpose this particular div or content here to do multiple things. So as you can see here, it can either insert or it can update. So so when you click the insert one, it's going to call the add record JavaScript function, and if you click on the update, it's going to update that record. So when it does the update, we need the ID, so that's where the ID will be. And then the one that people will see is the text here for the category, and then the number, which will be for the value. And then if there's something inside the database, you see we have an H3 here. It says database records. It's going to be a table, and then the table, give it an ID of data-table. We have a head section, which is just the headings, the table row headings. You see ID, category, value, and actions. And then the table body right now is empty, but this is going to be dynamically filled. So we have the canvas here. This will actually draw our graph. So this is very similar to, if you guys notice, it's very similar to what we did literally just yesterday, the HTML only. I made it 600 by 400. The reason I decided to make yesterday's was a perfect square. I think it was 600 by 600. This one is 600 by 400. The reason for this is because some of the because this is dynamic, it's not gonna. I won't be able to control how tall like the person is going to change because this one people can change it. So it could be tall, it could be short. I don't know. So I just that's why I said 600. So basically it's a rectangle, it's not a perfect square. And then here's where our JavaScript starts. We grab the table, the canvas, and obviously the context is going to be 2D. Okay, and then when the page loads, we're going to run this function load data. So load data, what it do is it will fetch the results from the database. So you have the fetch.php here, the fetch API, and then we expect it to be JSON in JSON format, and then when we get it, we just run our display table data, and then we will draw the graph from the data which came in from our PHP fetch. And then to display table here, we take the data. You see this says here table body inner HTML, meaning we'll clear whatever is there. And then what we'll do is a for each loop. If you don't understand the for each loop, was it this year or last year? No, last year. When I was doing the learning JavaScript course, I explained all the types of loops and data types in PHP in the learning JavaScript. Sorry, I just made PHP also in the learning JavaScript course. So it's all there. Even this year I took all those. I created a playlist. It's called Learning JavaScript 2024. So you can go look that up. All of that should be there. And you see, all I did is so what we do then is we create a row, and then for the row we grab the row ID, category, and value, and we just put it there. And then we also add specifically a button which will be for editing, and we have another button which will be for deleting. You notice how we put the IDs there as well. Okay, the ID, yes. Then what we do is we have this one called fill form. This one is, remember I said we're going to repurpose that form basically. So what we do is we grab the ID, and we that means if somebody clicks edit, so we have to pass that data onto the fill form. So that's why you see I have the row ID, row category, and row value. So we take the ID, we take the category and value, and we just put it in there. And then if the person wants to add the record, if they click the button add record, what will happen is it will take that value, the category value, the category value and the value, and then it will post it to the insert. You see the method is post, and then we just do the URL search parameters, category, and comma value, and that's it. And then when everything is okay, we run load data. Remember, load data is the one that's going to fetch everything from the database, runs the fetch function. And if it's an update one, we just grab the same. It's very similar to the add record. We grab the ID, that's important. That's the only difference. We grab the ID as well, and then the category value and the value, and then we send it to the update PHP, the API endpoint, if you will. It's a method is post, and again we do the same thing. And then after we're done, we also load, because now that something has changed. It could be the category name, it could be the value name. We what do you call it? We load the data again. And then finally, if it's a delete record, all we care about is the ID, and then we send it to the delete.php. The API endpoint for that is post again. Same thing here, exactly. And this is the one to draw the graph. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I said I went over this yesterday. But basically, we clear what's in the canvas. Then we set the bar width and the x. Then after that, the initial x, and then we use a for each loop because they're going to be items. So we're interested in the value. So that's what the bar height is going to be set to the value here, and then we just set it to the greenish color here, and that's it. And now we just do some little math. I said you can replace this with exactly what we did yesterday if you want the 3D view, but this is just a simple bar graph, and that's it. That's our script. That's only 137 lines total. This is just a space. You can say 138, but it's really 137 lines. All right, now let's take a look at our PHP files. I'm going to start with the db.php first. Let me zoom in. So as you can see, we just take the host, database name, username, and password, and then we're going to use PIDO. If you don't know what PIDO stands for, it's PHP data object. So this allows us to run the same code on different databases. So if I was running SQLite, I could just put SQLite to the path to the SQLite, or if running any other database, I can simply just put it in here. And so, for example, MySQL obviously also runs MariaDB, and other databases like Postgres, SQL Server, Oracle, etc. And then what we do is we set the error mode, exceptions, and if there's any problem, it will put, it says database connection failed, so it won't continue. So that's only for the database. Now let's we'll go through all of them. We'll go to delete. See, the delete is very simple. We just include our database credentials file, and then we grab the ID from there. Then you never ever trust user input. So what we do is we use prepared statements. This prevents SQL injections. There's ways to bypass this, but for you guys for learning, this is a perfect way to prevent SQL injections. Is just use a prepared statement. So if I delete from stats where ID equals, you see I don't put the ID in here. We just run the statement here, and then that's how we delete it. And then we echo delete it. Now you might say, hey Edward, wait a minute. You said it's going to be JSON. Yeah, this is perfect JSON. It's just one word. That's perfectly JSON. Okay, so if you notice here, you might say, can you improve this to prevent SQL injection? Yeah, absolutely. So one thing you can do here is, for example, I could cast this into an integer. That's one way to do it. But for this tutorial, it's a simple tutorial you can. And obviously, another thing to improve this would be to check to see if that ID exists in the database. Or for example, I wouldn't let anybody just simply delete anything, right? You have to be logged in. So I would also make sure the person is logged in. What I'm saying is that I'm the only one running this, so I can trust myself is what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that just because I made this very, very basic, that doesn't mean that it can't be improved on. So the one takeaway you guys should always know is never trust user input. The user themselves might not be the one who input that. It could be a bot, or it could be some malicious actor who's in the middle there. So just be aware of that. The minimum you should always do is prepared statements. Okay, so then for the fetch, it's very similar. What we do is, again, we include our database credentials file, and then what we do is we do a query. Again, you see we use another so this one we don't need a prepared statement because we're grabbing everything in the database. So you see here it says select all from stats, order by ID, associate. So again, then we just fetch on, and we say, hey, wait a minute, don't trust user input. Yeah, I'm not dealing with any user input here. It's just a request. That's it. That's all it is. So this is fine. I'm just grabbing all the data. Now, if you have like a billion records, this is not very efficient, of course. I would then paginate them. If you don't know what pagination means, that means that I would maybe get 10 at a time, 10 and then. But then you see the problem with that is now you're introducing user input. So what you will do is you need to sanitize and validate those numbers before you don't just simply put them in here. So then now you can do a prepared statement if you wish. And then we talked about the HTML file for insert. So again, we're grabbing we include the database credentials file. We get the category, we put it into a variable here. Now you see here, I'm not doing anything else. So I said this one, the value, we know it has to be an integer or a number at least. So you can filter it. There's PHP has built-in filters. You can filter var, and they also sanitize as well. So validate and sanitize, you could do that as well. For this one, the category, you can do some type of sanitization. You can maybe remove all the script files, things like that, and then say alphanumeric variables, because this one is a category. So a category is not going to be, have any fancy characters. However, you have to be careful, because when you do things like that, for example, if I'm only expecting English, I can clearly do that. But I'm saying that if this application is going to be used, say, with other languages, say like kanji characters, Chinese, Japanese, etc., or Korean, or even Arabic, so you have to be right. You have to allow. So again, you decide. So you see the prepared statement in this case, we have two values. So insert into stats, category, and value, and see values. I use placeholders, which are question marks here, and then with execute, I'll put them in here. So this is one way to prevent SQL injection. And you see, when it's done, it says echo inserted. So Abraham 260 says, I haven't used Pido, I used MySQL_connect, the improved one. It's not the same. That's true. Believe it or not, the MySQL improved is actually faster, because it all it cares about is MySQL. So they have it's tweaked for MySQL. The problem with PHP data objects, Pido, is that they're generic. So meaning that they won't take the best of what, for example, Oracle has, or MySQL or SQLite. they have to be generic because it has to work for like 13 different databases. So yes, in this case, I could have simply used MySQL improved instead. But as I said before, this is a very simple tutorial. As I said before, this allows you to take this code, and the only thing you need to change is literally just this, the type of database to use. Right? So if you just change the type of database, then your code can be used. You can test it in different any database without having to then. The problem with MySQL improved, like for example, if you wanted to go to SQLite, you have to do a search and replace and tweak all this stuff. So that's where the PHP data object comes handy, if you for things like that. So we have done insert, so it's echo insert, and then update is here. So update is the difference between update and insert is that update we need to have the ID. So again, we grab the database configuration file. So this will be all user-based input. Obviously, this one should not be a user. This one is hidden. But again, I said because it's coming from the user, I would not trust it. So what I would do is I would definitely, at bare minimum, use prepared statements. So we have the category and value here. You see that this one's prepare again, update, start, set category. You see the category, we have a placeholder here, value, we have a placeholder, and the ID we also have a placeholder. And then after that, we'll execute, put them in here. So this, but what this will do is it will look at the database. And if you remember from the database, the category was a varchar, meaning text, or string. The value was an integer, meaning a number, and the ID is also a number. So it will make sure that they match. So for example, if somebody was to hack this and try to put a like say word here, like Edward, this would fail. But this says updated. Now, obviously, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's some flaws with this with this. So in case you don't see it, I'll let you know. So as I said, you shouldn't trust user input. But I said this bare minimum you should do is prepared statement. So that takes care of that part. The problem here is, what if somebody hijacks this and puts in the changes this to say ed? You see, it's still going to say echo updated when it hasn't actually been updated. So you have to be, I said, be careful. Be careful with that. What I should do is I should actually put this in an if statement and say if it's this, it should say update, else something else. And I said I've done that before. Literally just the tutorial I did last week. I did that, but I said this one is a very simple. I just wanted to get this out of the way, but I'm saying I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to teach you guys some bad habits, so that's why I left that out. So what I'm saying is that this should be an if statement, and then echo update, else it will echo something else. Right? We've done that before. All right, so that's it. That's it here. So we don't need this anymore. So I'm going to get rid of all of these. We'll close the document, go to the command line here. Now you can use any server you want. You can use Nginx, Apache, Python, etc. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the PHP's built-in web server. So that one is just going to do PHP space hyphen capital S space 0.0.0.0 colon 8000. Okay, the reason I'm using 8000 is it allows me to use localhost colon 8000, allows me to do 127.0.0.1 colon 8000. It also allows me to get the IP address of this workstation and use that as well. So that allows me, for example, on the same network, I can use the phone, tablet, laptop, etc. to test it as well. When you do applications, especially in I don't want to say 2025, you should have been doing this earlier, but you should be testing to make sure it's also responsive, meaning that it still looks good on smaller screens. My application obviously is for development. I didn't even bother with that, but it should be fine, especially as these phones are pretty, the resolutions are decent. All right, so with that said, let's go back to our web browser here. And I'm gonna use 127 and I'll do 8,000. Hopefully that, yeah, here's 8,000 here. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more, oh, not too much there. I want to zoom in a little bit, so, oh, I shouldn't actually zoom in that much. I should actually zoom out. Yeah, I think that's good. So you can see the records. So you can see here is where the graph will be drawn. Obviously, you can hide this and and then it will show what's going on. So obviously, there's nothing; it's empty. So I don't remember what we did last time. Let me actually do the same thing we did last time. Let me check that. Let's go to django.com and see what we did last time. Oh, just yesterday. I forgot what we did yesterday. So, oh, this one said category 1. Okay, that's. I'll use the same number. So I'll say category 1. I think it says 150. Okay, so I put 150. Then there's no update because update will not work, obviously. So we hit insert, and you can see here it has inside. It says category 1. And it already drew it, you see, so it says category 1, the top there, and then you do. So this is different from the one we did literally yesterday. Yesterday was a 3D, so you see 3D goes like this. So if you want to do the 3D, I say just copy the code over from yesterday. I'm okay with this one because today's tutorial is about how to save these values instead. So the second one was, so you see here, I can delete it, or I can insert, or I can even update it, because so obviously if I hit update, nothing's going to happen because it doesn't have an ID. So that's why nothing's going to happen here. So now I'm going to do another insert. So I'll go to, I think it says 250. So I hit 250 here, and I hit insert. Now you see we have two categories, category 1 and category 2. Then the next one was 350. So I think that was category 3, and that was 350. That's 350. And then the last one was 450, category 4. So we'll do category 4. And it was 450 here. We hit insert. Now you see it's over, it's a little bit taller than what I like. So that gives us an option, and I'll explain that in a second. Let's go back here. So let me add one more. I'll say 5 here, and I'll make this one 550. Hit insert. Okay. So this one is way too tall. 4 and 5 are way too tall. So let's go and edit number 4 here. Let's go edit number 4. So I click edit. Remember, it's up here, it says category 5. So I click edit here. You see 4. So if my math is correct, I think 400, no, 400 might be too much. I think let me put it for, let's say 375. So I click update. Yeah, 375 shows up here. You see that? 375. Now, if we go to the database, you see the database was empty before. Now, if I click browse, you see now we have all the values here. Now, you can easily go and make edits here instead. For example, I can easily edit this because we have an ID, so it's pretty simple to edit that one. I can also delete it here. However, I want to show you guys something. So I'm going to create number 6. I could also do it here, but you know, we have our UI here. So I'm going to create category 6. No, and I won't create category 6 yet. So what I want to do is this category 5, I'm going to delete it. You see, it automatically deleted. So that's what I'm saying is one way to improve it. I should have put a confirmation box. So when you click delete, it says, are you sure? Yes, no. That's one thing I should have done. I'm saying just so you can improve it. Now you guys will probably understand why I left it out. I left it out for a purpose, just to teach you that you can always improve. I've done it in the past, but I'm saying is that if you guys were just copy pasting, you might not understand why I did it. Now you understand why that's a nice improvement. Now if I say category 5 now, because there is no category 5, so if I say category 5, and let's make it let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's say 365. I hit insert. So you see here, if you look at the ID, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, and it says 6, right? That's because 5 existed and deleted, but because remember we're doing auto incrementing, so 5 is already, like, I guess you can call it in the cache or whatever, so the next number is going to be 6. That's why it's like this. So there we go. That's basically the app I wanted to show you. Very nice and simple. So you guys saw just a few lines of code, you're able to create a working application. Very, very simple. So and you can graph. Obviously, you can make the graphs as pretty as you want. You guys saw me, I created one with a 3D literally just yesterday. Today I just make it a simple bar graphs, and you can see I put the yesterday's didn't have the title on top of them, but this one's do. You can do other things like put numbers here, etc. But this is perfectly fine. And obviously another trick you can do to improve this is, you remember this initially category 4 was it was 450, so 450 would probably have been somewhere around here, I'm guessing, up here. So what you could do is you could then scale it, meaning that you see if the height of this canvas is too what do you call this, is not tall enough, you can then make it taller, but based on this value, and leave a little gap there. That's one way. Or what you can do is you can then scale it based on, you can set that as the maximum height, you add maybe 10 or 20, and then scale this down as well. If you remember, we set our scale to about 50, so I'm saying is you can maybe make it 25 or something, stuff like that. So then everything will show you. Or what another option you can do is you can say you can put a min max here, and then in the code you can make sure that when the person is adding or updating, they don't go. That's one validation you can do, making sure that the values are between such certain number and a certain number. Now let's go and do this category 5 here. Let's go and edit it. And what do you guys see? You see here now, if I put a negative number, what do you think is going to happen? So now it's negative 365. So if I click update, you see it doesn't even show up here, right? It doesn't even show up here. So that's because it's in a negative direction. So I'm saying those are things we can improve on this graph. Or all I said, you can put some restrictions, say it has to be a positive number and it can only go one way, right? So that's one thing you can do. So we don't need this one here. This is category 6, or maybe ID 6, category 5. So you see in the database here as well. If I do a refresh, you see it's a negative 365 here. So that's up to you. So it's still here. We're still updating it. So we can just do 365, click update, and it comes back in here. So that's it. That's the application. Nice and simple. So let's finish this up. Let's go up here, and this time I'm going to see if I can get this right. So a detailed guide to PHP with many examples can be found in the book Learning PHP, available on Amazon. The link is also in the description and obviously in the article. And I also have a course, a complete learning path with structured lessons is available in the course Learning PHP. Is available on ojamboshop.com. The link is also in the description. And if you need a personal tutoring assistance with programming or help updating or migrating PHP application, including frameworks, you can reach out to me at ojambo.com/contact or my professional services at ojamboservices.com/contact. Okay, so some final thoughts. Using PHP and MariaDB together with the HTML Canvas is an excellent beginner project that teaches practical skills that apply to real applications. You can expand this setup into dashboards, monitoring tools, and admin panels as you grow your skills. Okay, with that said, I want to let you guys know that you should subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments, because as I said before, it helps the channel grow. And all this, including today's tutorial, was inspired or requested by viewers just like you, not just subscribers, viewers. What I noticed is the majority of viewers are actually not subscribed. You should subscribe. That I just explained how you can actually help out the channel, because the more you subscribe, the more people subscribe, the more the content is pushed out to more people. And so yeah, simply by subscribing, that's one way you can help the channel. Thanks to everybody who subscribed so far this month. I appreciate that, and I said I do give back. For example, this tutorial. Okay. I do also have some other resources. I'll start from the bottom up. I have this Starlink residential service. It's a referral link. So if you're thinking of getting the SpaceX Starlink satellite internet residential service, use my referral link here. I'll get 1 month free, and you'll get a significant discount. It's simply clicking here. So far, and I'm not going to put this in any of the live streams or the videos, but it's you have to go to the ojambo.com and pick any article. It will be there for the time being. And then I also have this Honeywell HeatBud personal ceramic heater. It's available on Amazon. This is an affiliate link, meaning that I'll get a commission if you do purchase it. If you're going to purchase it, please use my referral link. It won't cost you anything, but I'll get a commission. That's another way you can also help out the channel. It has two settings, 170 watts and 270 watts, so it uses very little electricity. But it's really nice. I mean, obviously, it's not meant to heat up an entire room. Obviously, it's just it's a personal space heater. But it does work well. It helped me save over $100 on the coldest month last winter, which is pretty harsh. And this winter, I expect to save another $200 based on from the first time I was here when I was paying $350 a month in propane costs. Propane is only used for heating, so that is a crazy amount. And I'll definitely get it. I'll let you guys know how well it's working. And then I do have a novelette. It's called The Algorithmic Serpent. It's created by me, you see there, Edward Ojambo. It's about a scientist who creates an AI system and loses his mind, and he has to regain control of his mind and the AI system. This is the back. So this is the paperback version. As you can see there are pages. There's also an ebook version. The ebook version is free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So pick either one of them up if you have the means, and let me know what you guys think. I made them as affordable as possible. The majority is just of the cost is just for example, this one, the printed one, is for obviously printing and shipping, and the ebook version is for storage costs. And then literally just yesterday, I finished my guide, my first guide. It's called the Recession Business Blueprint. I'll talk about this in some upcoming, in an upcoming video. It's called the Recession Business Blueprint. So if you're thinking of starting a business, even some people don't want to start a business in the recession, I encourage you, that's actually the best time to start a business. For example, like right now, don't listen to people. We're in a recession right now, so it's a perfect time to start a business. And I walk you through how to start a business, where to get funding, and how to start a business in lean times, even when you have no money. Like I started my business in 2009. I was just laid off as a chemist, so yeah, I had to pay like I just bought the car. The car was less than I think the car was like 6 months old. Brand new car. I was still in the condo. I'd been there for about 4, 5, not even 5 years, and I got laid off. So I still had a mortgage, and I had the car payments. And yeah, I was living downtown Toronto. So if I was able to make it during the recession, you guys can definitely do it. Especially these days, there's way more tools and way more ways to advertise. So in one way, it's easier, and another way, it's harder. So that's what I did. I didn't just base it on my personal experience. I based it on obviously my knowledge and what's current and ways you can promote and promote your businesses as well locally, and obviously whether you're doing internationally or any way to do it. And plus, when I was doing my business, people said I was not going to make it because I didn't do, for example, Flash. If you guys remember Adobe Flash, yeah. Or like you need an office, which is not true. You can run a business in your at home. I ran it inside a condo, so there you go. You're able to do that. All right, that's if you want to know more about me. I also have the bio. Most of the articles are written by me, so you see my bio here. As I said, I'm a freelance programmer, and you can have my book page here on Amazon. And if you need support, my services, ojamboservices.com, and then the ojamboshop.com for the online courses. So it's all there. So yeah, so then go back to the, I guess this will be the outro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the live chats and see if anybody else has any chat requests. I'm checking Odyssey, Rambo, BitChute, and YouTube. I don't see any there, so that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you want to know what we're doing tomorrow, simply go ojambo.com, watch menu, lifestyle menu. You can see this is what we're doing. We're doing something related to AI tomorrow. Pretty exciting. All right, that's it. If you guys want to, other ways to contact me is simply just go down to the footer, and you can see the channels: Odyssey, Rambo, BitChute, and YouTube. But the best way to contact me is to go to the contact forms. Ojambo.com/contact and ojamboservices.com/contact. That's the best way to contact me. You can also use the comment forms. Just comment in here when it's still open, or in any of the channels as well. All right, guys. Bye for now. Peace.